Have you ever been told you're too quiet, too distant, or too independent to fit in? What if those very traits weren't weaknesses, but the hidden source of your greatest strength? Sigma females walk through life differently. They don't seek to shine by standing on a stage with spotlights blazing on them. They shine by simply being themselves. And in a world that constantly tries to define what a woman should be, Sigma females quietly, yet powerfully, challenge those expectations every single day. Traditional femininity, as society often describes it, comes wrapped in labels: gentle, agreeable, nurturing, and pleasing. Of course, these qualities are not wrong. They are beautiful when they come from authenticity. But the problem begins when women are told that this is all they are supposed to be, that to be truly feminine, one must always be soft, compliant, and eager to fit into the molds others have created. Sigma females, however, disrupt that narrative. They live by their own rules not because they are rebellious for rebellion's sake, but because their inner compass refuses to be silenced. Their confidence is not loud, not boastful, but steady, like a flame that cannot be blown out. And that quiet confidence is exactly what unsettles traditional stereotypes of femininity. Imagine a woman who does not feel the need to broadcast her worth, yet no one can deny it. A woman who doesn't need a crowd to validate her, yet her presence changes the energy of the room. That is the essence of a Sigma female. She challenges traditional feminine stereotypes not by shouting against them, but by living as proof that women can be independent, resilient, deeply intuitive, and strong, without losing their softness, their depth, or their heart. One of the first ways Sigma females challenge stereotypes is through their independence. Society has long expected women to lean on others for direction, whether it be from parents, partners, or authority figures. The stereotype says women are better suited to follow than to lead, better at nurturing others than nurturing themselves. But Sigma females quietly dismantle this idea. Their independence is not arrogance, it is self-trust. They trust their own judgment, their own instincts, and their own path. They do not fear walking alone because they know solitude does not mean weakness. In fact, for Sigma females, solitude often becomes the soil where their strength grows. This independence challenges the stereotype that women must constantly rely on external validation or approval. A Sigma female does not wait for permission to pursue her dreams. She doesn't require someone else's map to navigate her journey. She creates her own. And in doing so, she sends a subtle yet powerful message. Women are fully capable of leading themselves. Confidence is often portrayed in extremes. Society tells us that a confident woman is one who is outspoken, assertive, and always on display. But Sigma females reveal another version of confidence, one that is quieter, yet no less powerful. This quiet confidence isn't about taking up the most space in the room. It's about being grounded, secure, and unshaken, even when the world misunderstands you. Sigma females don't feel the need to prove themselves through endless comparisons or competitions. Their worth is self-defined, and this directly challenges traditional femininity, which often pressures women to prove their value by being likable, charming, or visibly accomplished in conventional ways. The Sigma female shows us that confidence doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers, and in that whisper lies undeniable strength. Another stereotype about women is that they are too emotional, too fragile, too easily broken. For generations, this belief has been used to limit women's voices, to silence their ambitions, and to frame them as less capable of leadership or decision-making. But Sigma females don't reject their emotions. They embrace them. The difference is, they are not controlled by them. They allow emotions to be teachers, guides, and signals, not prisons. This ability to remain emotionally steady while still being deeply intuitive dismantles the myth that femininity is fragile. In fact, Sigma females show that emotions, when understood and balanced, can be a source of wisdom and strength. They can walk through heartbreak and emerge wiser. They can face failure and still move forward. They can care deeply about others without losing themselves in the process. This emotional strength is quiet, but it is unshakable, and it completely flips the stereotype of fragile femininity on its head. One of the most misunderstood qualities of Sigma females is their ability to set boundaries. Traditional stereotypes often encourage women to always say yes, to be agreeable, accommodating, and self-sacrificing. To put the needs of others before their own, even when it drains them. Sigma females, however, understand the power of boundaries. They know that saying no does not make them unkind. It makes them strong. It protects their energy, their dreams, and their identity. By refusing to bend under constant pressure to please, Sigma females challenge the stereotype that women must always give more than they receive. They remind us that self-respect is not selfish. It is essential. And when a woman respects herself enough to draw boundaries, she not only protects her own growth, but inspires others to do the same. Society has long tied a woman's identity to her relationships, whether as a daughter, a wife, a mother, or a caretaker. While these roles can be meaningful, they do not define the entire existence of a Sigma female. She approaches relationships with intention, not desperation. She doesn't enter partnerships because of fear of being alone, but because she genuinely chooses to share her life with someone. This challenges the stereotype that women must depend on relationships for worth or fulfillment. A Sigma female's quiet confidence allows her to thrive whether she is single or partnered. She values connection, but she doesn't compromise her individuality for it. And that independence inside relationships unsettles the old narrative that women must sacrifice themselves for love. Instead, she shows that real love happens when two whole people choose each other, not when one person gives up their identity to please the other. Another stereotype women face is that leadership is reserved for men, or that women who lead must become loud, aggressive, or overly dominant. Sigma females prove otherwise. Their leadership style is rooted in quiet influence. They don't need to command attention through force. Instead, they inspire through presence, wisdom, and example. People follow them not because they demand it, but because they naturally command respect. This challenges the stereotype that women must fit into a masculine version of leadership to succeed. Sigma females lead by being authentic to themselves, thoughtful, balanced, intuitive, and firm. They prove that leadership is not about who shouts the loudest, but about who walks with the most clarity. Perhaps one of the most defining traits of a Sigma female is her authenticity. She doesn't conform just to be accepted. She doesn't dress, speak, or act a certain way just to please others. She is who she is, unapologetically. This authenticity is powerful because it directly challenges the stereotype that women must always seek approval, whether in beauty, behavior, or choices. A Sigma female knows that approval is fleeting, but authenticity is eternal, and that authenticity is magnetic. Even though she may not chase attention, she often receives it because people are drawn to those who are real in a world full of mass. One of the most difficult parts of being a Sigma female is being misunderstood. People often don't know what to make of them. Some see them as too distant, too serious, or even cold. But what others call distant is often just depth. What others call cold is often just careful boundaries. This courage to be misunderstood is itself a rebellion against traditional feminine stereotypes. Because for centuries, women have been pressured to always explain themselves, to always soften their edges so others feel comfortable. Sigma females don't do that. They are willing to let people misunderstand them rather than betray who they are. That courage is not easy, but it is transformative. It teaches the world that women don't exist to be easily categorized, and they certainly don't exist to make everyone comfortable. In traditional stereotypes, femininity is often expected to be open, predictable, and easily understood. But Sigma females carry an air of mystery that challenges this expectation. They don't reveal everything about themselves to everyone. They share their inner world selectively with those who truly earn it. This creates a depth of character that unsettles shallow stereotypes of femininity. This mystery is not about playing games or withholding. It's about self-respect and discernment. It's about valuing oneself enough to know that not everyone deserves access to your soul. And that, in itself, is a powerful challenge to the narrative that women should always be open, accessible, and easy to read. Traditional stereotypes often split femininity into two extremes. Either women are soft and nurturing, or they are strong and unyielding. Sigma females embody both. They can be compassionate and caring, yet firm and independent. They can comfort others, yet also stand alone when necessary. They don't see softness and strength as opposites, but as complementary forces within them. This balance is what makes them so unique. They don't reject femininity, but they don't allow it to be defined narrowly either. They redefine it in a way that honors the full spectrum of what it means to be a woman. Another way Sigma females challenge traditional feminine stereotypes is through creativity. Society often frames women's creativity in limited terms: cooking, crafting, decorating, narrow spaces where expression is acceptable as long as it stays safe. But Sigma females expand creativity beyond these boundaries. Their minds often wander into places others might overlook: building businesses, inventing solutions, writing stories, creating art that questions norms, or even shaping entirely new lifestyles. Their creativity is not just expression, it is transformation. This form of creativity doesn't simply entertain, it disrupts. It questions why things are done a certain way, and it plants seeds for something different. And in that act, Sigma females reject the stereotype that women should only create within the lanes society assigns to them. Instead, they create to redefine those lanes altogether. Resilience is often shown in grand gestures, public victories, loud comebacks, bold statements. But Sigma females embody resilience in quieter ways. They rebuild themselves after heartbreak without needing the world to see their tears. They endure struggles, not by hiding them, but by transforming them privately into wisdom. This kind of resilience is powerful because it teaches us that strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it lives in the quiet decision to keep moving forward. Sometimes it's the simple act of standing back up when no one is watching. Traditional stereotypes often paint women as dependent, unable to handle pressure alone. But Sigma females contradict this daily. They endure, adapt, and rise, silently, steadily, unshakably. Their resilience becomes a quiet rebellion against the idea that femininity is fragile. One common misunderstanding about Sigma females is that they are isolated or disconnected. Because they value independence and solitude, people sometimes assume they dislike others or avoid relationships altogether. But this is a myth. Sigma females do not reject people. They reject superficiality. They prefer fewer but deeper connections, choosing authenticity over numbers. And this selective approach to relationships is a direct challenge to the stereotype that women should always be social butterflies, constantly surrounded by people to validate their presence. By choosing meaningful solitude and intentional relationships, Sigma females redefine what it means to connect. They remind us that true companionship is not about how many people surround you, but about how deeply you connect with the few who truly matter. For centuries, women's intuition has been mocked, dismissed, or treated as irrational. Society has glorified logic while ridiculing intuition, ignoring the fact that both are essential forms of intelligence. Sigma females, however, deeply trust their intuition. They listen to their inner voice, the subtle signals that others might ignore. Their decisions are not based solely on surface-level facts, but on an inner knowing that comes from awareness and connection to self. This reliance on intuition directly challenges stereotypes that portray women as incapable of sound judgment. Sigma females prove that intuition is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is an additional layer of intelligence that allows them to navigate life with clarity, even when the path is uncertain. Society often pressures women to perform femininity, to look a certain way, to smile when they don't feel like it, to soften their tone even when their words carry truth. This performance is exhausting and often erases authenticity. Sigma females challenge this performance. They refuse to wear a mask just to be accepted. If they don't feel like smiling, they won't force it. If they have something to say, they won't dilute it for comfort. Their femininity is not a show for the world. It is an authentic reflection of who they are. This quiet refusal to perform unsettles stereotypes, because when women stop performing, they become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. Another overlooked way Sigma females challenge stereotypes is through their hunger for knowledge. For generations, women were discouraged from intellectual pursuits, told their value lay in beauty or service rather than wisdom. Sigma females, however, carry a deep curiosity about the world. They read, they learn, they ask questions, they explore ideas. Their intelligence is not for show, it is for self-expansion. This intellectual independence challenges the stereotype that women should limit their knowledge to what is practical or acceptable. Instead, Sigma females prove that a woman's mind is limitless, and her curiosity is just as powerful as her compassion. Sigma females also challenge stereotypes through adaptability. Traditional roles often expect women to stay fixed, predictable, unchanging. But Sigma females flow with life's challenges, adjusting without losing themselves. They can shift careers, embrace new opportunities, rebuild after loss, and adapt to changing circumstances. This adaptability is not compliance. It is resilience. It is the ability to grow stronger through change rather than being broken by it. By thriving in change, Sigma females dismantle the stereotype that women are too delicate for uncertainty. Instead, they show that adaptability is one of the purest forms of strength. In today's world, influence is often measured by how visible someone is, how many followers they have, how often they are seen. But Sigma females redefine impact. They don't always crave the spotlight, yet their influence is undeniable. They inspire by living authentically, by quietly shifting perspectives, by leading in ways that aren't always obvious to the crowd. Their impact is subtle, yet it lingers. This challenges the stereotype that women must be constantly visible to matter. Sigma females prove that true impact doesn't always need applause. It needs authenticity. Because Sigma females challenge traditional roles, they are often accused of being unfeminine. But this is one of the biggest myths of all. Femininity is not about compliance. It is not about fitting into outdated molds. True femininity is expansive. It holds independence and compassion, mystery and openness, silence and expression. Sigma females show us that challenging stereotypes is not about rejecting femininity, but about redefining it in its fullness. Their quiet confidence is not a lack of femininity. It is femininity evolved. Sigma females also play a role in healing generational patterns. For centuries, women were taught to shrink themselves, to avoid conflict, to accept less than they deserve. Many Sigma females, even without realizing it, break these cycles simply by living authentically. When they set boundaries, they heal generations of women who were not allowed to. When they pursue independence, they honor ancestors who were denied the freedom to choose. When they embrace both strength and softness, they expand what future women will believe is possible. This healing is quiet, but it ripples across time. Sigma females are not just living for themselves. They are rewriting the stories of women who came before and those who will come after. As society evolves, femininity itself is being redefined. The rigid categories of the past, obedient, passive, dependent, are crumbling, and Sigma females stand at the forefront of this change. They show that women can be leaders without losing their tenderness, that they can be independent without being cold, that they can embrace solitude without being lonely, that they can be mysterious yet deeply connected. Sigma females remind us that the future of femininity is not about limiting women to roles. It's about allowing women to embody their full spectrum of qualities, authentic, powerful, complex, and whole. The presence of Sigma females is, in itself, a challenge to the world. Not because they seek to fight every stereotype directly, but because their very existence disproves them. Every time a Sigma female walks confidently into a room without needing validation, she challenges stereotypes. Every time she sets boundaries, she challenges them. Every time she chooses authenticity over approval, she challenges them. Her life becomes a quiet rebellion, a living reminder that the old narratives no longer fit. So if you've ever felt different, if you've ever been told you're too quiet, too independent, too mysterious, remember this. What others see as too much or not enough may actually be your greatest strength. You don't need to fit into traditional stereotypes to prove your worth. You don't need to perform femininity for approval. You don't need to explain yourself to those who misunderstand you, because your quiet confidence speaks louder than words. Your independence is a declaration. Your authenticity is a revolution. The world doesn't need more women who fit a mold. It needs women who break it, silently, powerfully, unapologetically. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly who you are.